Hello everyone, this is Akash Chauhan, and in today's video session we will continue with our STL lecture. Earlier we have discussed what are different types of containers in STL library, what are vectors and what are lists. In today's video session we will discuss what are maps and the algorithms. Map is another type of containers that we have already discussed, but how to use map to store data and we can apply various operations on map. We will look on these aspects today. So today itself we will be completing maps and algorithm, and along with that our topic STL will be completed. Okay, so let's move on to the maps. Maps are actually also associative containers. I have already told you that containers would provide you the organized data on which you can apply some algorithms using algorithm STL libraries or the template classes. But initially maps are basically associative containers which would have a key and a value. For a particular key there would be a particular value associated with that key. So wherever let's say it can be considered like this. Let's say you have key value 1 and at key value 1 you have value 20, okay, and at key value 2 you have value 30. So the keys are always associated with the values, that is why it is called associative container. Okay, and each element has a key value and a mapped value, that what we have already discussed. Um, there would not be any case where two key values would have different values. Okay, one key would always return the same value. Okay, this is the properties of map. There are various functions we can apply over a map. I'll discuss these functionalities in by code, so it would be super easy for us to understand and how to implement these functionalities or call these functionalities over a map. So I have copy pasted the code I'm going to discuss in the IDE over here, so you can take the reference from here as well. Okay, let's come to the code and discuss these functionalities one by one. Let's say how to create an empty map container. It is very simple. Use map. Okay, and to use map you have to include this map library, in which you have to provide a key data type and the value data type. So it means you have the type of key can be anything, you can take character or float, anything, and the value would be integer. So it means the key here, as you can see, uh, these key these keys are of integer type and the values are also integer type. That is the meaning of this 10th line. So we have a map 1, and how to insert data into map. There is a way. You have to use pair, and you are going to use pair with data type. Okay, we have integer key, integer value, and the value of key, and the value itself is 40. It means at 1, for key value 1, the value 40 will be stored as a key value pair. So in map 1, if you find 1, it will return 40 as a key value. The key would be 1 and the value for the associated value with the key would be 40. Okay, so we have inserted 7 keys, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and according to these keys we have stored different types of values with the key. Okay, because map would store key and value in a associative manner. How to print a map? Very simple. Earlier we have used the iterator for list, so here we have used list int. Now in case of map you have to use the same data type for the keys and the map. So the iterator would hold the address of your the beginning of the map and the end of the map. So key by key or the iterator by iterator, because at particular iterator, so as you can see here, the iterator would hold the key and the value. Okay, so the iterator would hold the key and value. So to create iterator we can use this iterator like this. Okay, because we want to use the map iterator using scope resolution. and then with the iterator we can call, you know, these have the key and value. So if you call itr, iterator name, and then call first, it will return you the key. And if you call itr and then call second, okay, these are predefined words. If you call first and second, it will return you either key and the value. First would return you key and the second would return you value. So this is how you can manage to, you know, print a map. You iterate from the very first element and then you iterate till you reach to the end of the map or the last element in the map, and then you would take the first element, the first from the iterator, and the second would hold the value and the first would hold the key, right? So uh, so uh, and how to search an element in a map? There is a very simple way. The find function is there. You pass the key here and it will return you the iterator. So with the help of iterator, if you call the first, then it would return you the key itself, and if you call the second, then it would return you the value itself, right? So the value for 3 would be 60. So the answer of this search would become, for 3 the answer is 60. Okay, so by calling find, it will return you the iterator. Okay, and then calling using the iterator, you can call first and the call, or you can call second. Okay, these are predefined variables in the iterator which would hold, the first would hold the key and the second would hold the value, right? um, we can even assign a particular map values to the another map as well. Let's say you are creating a map 2. Okay, right, you are creating a map 2 with, integer keys and integer values. The name of the map is map 2, and what you need to provide is, you need to provide, the map starting and that map ending. This map is actually holding the data which you want to copy into map 2. So this is the way. So map 1 and map 2 become identical due to this, assigning the value from map 1 to map 2. So I hope this is clear. Removing an element with a particular key. Let's say we want to erase key value pair of 4 key, having key as a 4. So it means from the map, wherever the key as a 4 will be stored, with associative value, the key and the value will be erased from the map by simply calling the erase method. Okay, after removing the element, if we want to check how many elements are left in the map, then simply we are performing this over map 2. So we are starting, we are taking the iterator from the beginning, and we are growing it till it reaches to the the end of the map, and we are again printing the keys and the values from the map. How to find the size of a map? Simply by calling the size function. So if any this is map 1, you are calling the size. So we have removed key 4 from map 2, not map 1. So the size would be 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So the number of keys we have would become the size of the map. Okay, the maximum size, what would be the maximum size? Maximum size is different. It depends on the memory you have. So as you are not required to initialize the size of a map at this start, you can simply start adding the element after declaring it. So it means giving size initially is not required. So the maximum size would be very high. I'll show you the range, but it depends on the memory. It would be in millions. The number of elements you can store would be very high. How to check if whether the map is empty or not? Simply calling empty function in if condition. So if it would return true, it means it is empty. How to clear a map means you are not erasing element keys one by one. You want to erase all the data from the map. You simply can call clear from over that map, and it will now this should return you 0. So without any further ado, let me execute this code, and let's understand the output. Okay, so one by one. So let me Okay, so initially it is printing the key values. Okay, fine. For we found that for 3 value we have 60 as a value. We have used this find, right, this thing. Okay, so for first it is returning 30 and for second it is returning 60. We are assigning map 1 into map 2, no issue. For we are erasing element 4, so the 4 has already been removed from the map. Okay, and then we are printing, so these values are coming from this code. Then we are finding out the size of map1 is 7 and maximum value it is quite large. Okay, the number of element a map can store would be very high, as you can see. Now we are checking whether the map1 is empty, which would be, not empty, and the size after clearing map1 would be 0. Okay, that is what I have told you. So this is all. I hope this is clear. This is all about map. Map is again a kind of container that we have already discussed. Map is a container. Okay, we have discussed list, vector and map. They are containers. List and vectors are simple container, but map is associative container because it would hold key and values associatively. So the key is associated with the values. Algorithm we are going to discuss, but algorithm would provide you a ways where you can apply some procedures over arrays, list, vectors or map. Okay, for example, if we can do binary search over an array or a vector, that would be a great thing without creating code for binary search. Okay, so the inbuilt template classes that we can use provided an algorithm, that would be super easy. So let's come to the algorithm part now. So the algorithm we have already discussed. Algorithms are nothing but the procedures that are applied on containers. Containers we have learned either vectors, list or map, right? So we need container, some kind of container to perform these procedures. So okay, for example, binary search is a kind of procedure that we can apply over vector. Okay, we can apply different functions like sort. Okay, we can reverse an array or an vector. We can find the max element directly by providing the first and the last iterator of a vector. We can find the minimum element. Okay, as you remember that in min heap you would always have the minimum element at the root. So there are different functionalities to find out the minimum element from an array or a vector. Okay, but it's a quite large code to write to find min element or the maximum element. But due to algorithm template classes, we don't need to write this code as well. We can directly call these max element and min element over a vector. We can even count a number, how many times a number has occurred in a array or a vector. There is a direct functionality. We can directly perform binary search. Okay, these are user defined function, but we have not created code for it. It is simply by I'll show you where it is. So as you can see in if binary search, you have to provide the array. I'll show you the code. It just the argument you can ignore as of now. So by simply calling binary search, it would return you that okay, I have found the element in the array or not. Okay, so we can apply directly such functions over an array. Okay, so let me come to the code so that we can understand okay what kind of functionalities algorithm template classes would provide you. Okay, so let me come to the main first. Okay, we have an array. And this is the usual way we can define an array. To find the number of elements in the array, we can simply find the size of an array, and we can divide it by the size of one element. So by having the array, okay, you can create the vector. So if you have an array, you can create a vector from that. So by how to do that? Simply pass the array and the size. So you have to give the size is n, the number of elements. So this is the base address, and these are the further elements you have to traverse. So this is the proper way to provide an array to a vector. So now vect name can be used as a vector. I told you the vector can be accessed through index as well, okay, like an array, okay, and later on if we want to resize the vector, which is also possible. How to sort, how we can apply the sort over a vector? By simply providing the begin and the end of the vector. So it will find out, the vector would hold now the sorting element in a particular order in sorted way. So if we print this after calling this sort, all the element would be sorted in the vector. So it is very simple. Reversing, again it's simple, similar to the sorting. We have to pass the begin of the vector and the ending of the vector, and it will reverse it for you. Now the vector would hold the element in reverse order. That is very simple. Okay, how to find the max element? Again, this is how you call the max element. You have to provide the initial element, uh, the address and the address of your last element, and it would find a max element from that list, from that vector. So if we have 1 to 10, 10 would become the maximum element from the vector. Similar to max element, we can call the min element from the vector. Again, we have to provide the beginning and the ending of the vector. How to find the occurrence of 20? So we want to know how many times 20 has occurred in a particular vector. So how to do that? Simply call count function, provide the beginning and the ending of the vector, and then what you want to search. So 20, let's say 20 has occurred 3 times in your vector, then the output would be 3 from here. Binary search we have to perform, so we don't need to write a code for binary search. We have, although I have created a user defined binary search code, but it is simply just to separate the code from the rest of the code. I have not created the code for binary search. I have called directly the binary search. So again, we have created the array, okay. Because in algorithm, the show method can be called to print the element of the array. We need to provide the array name and the size of the array. As you can see, the number of elements would be stored in a size, and a would be holding all these elements as an array. So this would print you the number of elements in the it is similar to cout. uh, if we want to perform operations on array, this is also possible. So we can call sort from algorithm, we can provide the array, and then we can provide the number of elements with the base address, okay. So a plus a size would become all the elements from it has to the algorithm has to sort from a array. So simply I'm calling this show method, but now a would hold the the elements in sorted order. To do the binary search, it is very easy. How to do the binary search? It is very simple. uh, you provide the array in which you want to do the binary search. Now you have to provide the size, again the size of the array and what element you want to search, okay. So if 2 would be there in the array according to the binary search, okay, if it would find the element from the array, this will be executed. If it wouldn't be, then this message will be printed, okay. So this show method, actually this is not you actually predefined method. I have created, I forgot to tell you that I have created it. I'll show you the code. So if the show method will be called, it will have the array, the base address, and the number of elements, and it is iterating all the element and printing with comma, okay. So this is not provided by algorithm, by mistake I have mentioned. So show method I have created by myself. Let's come to the last part. If we want to find out 10 again in binary search, again we have to provide the array, and we have to provide the number of elements in the array, and it will do the binary search, okay, from the element. So we have not created any code for binary search. It is calling from the algorithm part, okay. So in algorithm we can apply so many things over vectors or even array. As you can see, we have applied these functionalities, this binary search over an array, not an vector, and we can do the shorting, we can do the reverse, and so many other functionalities or the procedures we can apply over vectors and other containers. So I hope the concept of algorithm is clear. I have copy pasted that code, the code we have discussed over here, so you can take the reference from here as well. So in STL, these are the main important topics in your syllabus. You have only vector, list, map, and algorithm. Still in STL, we have stack, tree, set, and many other containers as well. But these are important, and as you know, the vector, list, map, and algorithms are only topics that are in your syllabus. So for your theory exam perspective, please complete these topics. And to learn C++ in depth also, you should go through all these topics, okay? And spend enough time to understand how what are the differences between vector and list, how list is different from map, and you know, how we can apply algorithms or functionalities on vector and list, or even an array, and how array is different from list and vector. So I hope you will get the clarity on these topics by looking at I'll also provide this PDF over your Moodle, so you will be having this document. So this is the end of your syllabus, and so best wishes from my side, and do your best. My last suggestion for you, that you guys will never have this time once again to invest in C++. So this is the time. You will have time definitely, but not for C++. So I hope you guys would understand this importance of you know, learning C++ you know, sincerely. So do your best, and best of luck, and thank you so much, and have a good day.